Are you a Disney adult with no kids? Do you rope drop the parks every day of your trip and don't go back to your resort until you have 25,000 steps? On your non-Disney vacations, do you prioritize seeing all the sights and eating all the really good food? If these things describe you in any way, then I would say my review is for you. My name is Hope, and what I just described are the type of vacations that I like to take. So I'm about to do a review of the Disney cruise that I recently went on with the context of I am not a relaxing vacation taker. And I think that more so than the fact that it's a Disney cruise, the fact that it is a cruise matters the most and is something that I wish I had realized before I had taken it that it wouldn't be for me. So I'm going to share highlights of the trip because obviously it was still a very high quality trip, I would say. I'm gonna share reasons that I wouldn't go back if it was just me and my boyfriend. Lastly, I'm going to just share a little bit about the cost and whether I actually think it was worth it. So if any of that's interesting to you, please stay tuned. Okay, like I said in my intro, I don't have kids. And just a disclaimer, none of this applies if you have kids. Not even just if you have kids who like Disney, just if you have kids who are under the age of 10. I would say this is a great option for you, and I don't want to talk shit on a vacation that is meant for families when I don't have children. The best parts of this trip were seeing Sean's nephews have the time of their lives. And I still think that that is a great reason to go. And that's why I would say it was a success of a trip because it's a cruise that's meant for them. So yeah, I would definitely say the highlight of the trip was getting to see Sean's nephews experience the magic because that's what it's really all about. So if you have kids, if you love spending the day at the pool with your kids, if you love sleeping in, if you want an option of a vacation where you as a parent can have time to yourself because there's daycare options on Disney cruises, I would say it's probably a no-brainer. And also, there are a lot of reviews out there, I'm sure, that are, way more helpful than me as a single adult. So I went on the Disney Treasure. It's the newest ship that's currently sailing for Disney Cruise Line. And I had been on a cruise before and didn't really love it. But like I said, I love Disney World. We go at this point at least once a year. So I knew that maybe if there was any cruise that I was gonna enjoy, it would be a Disney cruise. So Sean's nephews were gonna be of a certain age, and we decided the one family vacation we'd go on with his family, this would make sense. Here's the thing. I follow plenty of Disney content on social media, and I follow a lot of Disney influencers, if you will, and most of the ones I follow don't have kids because that's my situation. And I felt like they just push it to you hard and act like it's the best thing ever. It's a Disney deluxe resort on the ocean, basically. Okay, maybe that's true, but I just want to get the point across here that if you like going to Walt Disney World specifically as your vacation, this is not like that. And I know that maybe that seems really obvious, but to me, I've seen so many influencers that seem to like a lot of what I like about the parks, going on these cruises and acting like, oh my God, they're the second best thing to Disney World. I'd almost rather go on a cruise than go to Disney World. And I just want you to know from a different perspective that I would not agree with that. So let's get into it. I'm going to first talk about all of the good things. The ship, the Disney Treasure itself, is a really beautiful ship. I mean, it's new, it's ornate, it's gorgeous. Hopefully I'm putting some B-roll in here of what it looks like. The grand hall lobby type area is beautiful. Our stateroom was really nice. And yeah, so that is amazing. I also will say, of course, just like in Walt Disney World, the experience with the cast members, the people who work on the ship, they're all amazing. No complaints there. If you want good service, Disney provides that. So I can't knock them there. again, this is really more about like the type of vacation that I like to take. So the ship is beautiful. The atmosphere, the theming is really great as far as like the look of everything. They have a lot of little details in the lounges. There's a whole lounge this is why I wanted to go on this specific ship, the Treasure, because the lounges are they're like themed towards the parks. So there's a Jungle Cruise lounge, there's a Haunted Mansion lounge with a lot of like little details in there that are very Easter eggy, and it was fun to sit in and look at the little books or the little pieces of paper you could read in the booth that you were in, or if you walk around the Haunted Mansion, there's little like books and things that you can open and read. And so I would say that part of it is really cool. No complaints there. Very well themed as far as like the look and the decor and everything. So I think that if you're interested in that, the Treasure is a good option. The other highlight I would say is we went one night where we paid for our dinner. So a cruise, most of the dinners are just included in your booking price, and you go to like rotational restaurants at the same time every night, and like the whole ship goes to these restaurants and you don't like get charged extra for them. But one night we went to Enchanté, the fine dining restaurant on the Disney Treasure. I think it's the first ship that has this restaurant, and that also was world-class experience. That was the nicest dinner I've ever had. Also the most expensive dinner I've ever had, but we did the whole shebang. We did the pairing, so we did like the 5-course meal plus dessert plus a wine pairing. So it was very expensive, but it was one of my favorite nights. It was just me and Sean, and we had a view of the open ocean. It was magical. If you were thinking about it, that is something that I would absolutely do. I will say part of getting that reservation was that we had to wait in a line on the first day that we got on the ship, because the app wouldn't let us book it, probably because we've never been on a Disney cruise before and they prioritize people who have been on before. So our place in the lottery was kind of far down the list. But it was totally worth waiting in that line for. I'm really glad we made an effort to do that. The Enchanté was so amazing. Memories forever of that experience. I also liked the private island, Disney's private island, Castaway Cay. We went on our last full day. It's just a nice Caribbean beach feel. There's also walkways that you can go on. We went on like a really nice long walk that day, which was nice to be off the ship and just soak in the sunshine and the warmth, and that was amazing. I will say, I don't know, I've been to only one other like island type place like that, Turks and Caicos, which is probably the nicest beach that I've ever been to in my life. Obviously Disney's Castaway Cay was not quite as nice as that. It's a bit more, I don't know if it's manufactured. Maybe part of the sand is trucked in, I'm not sure. But we actually saw a lot of wildlife, so it was still a really cool experience. It's just Turks and Caicos, I would say, was nicer than that. But again, I haven't really been to many Caribbean islands, so I don't know. I can't really compare it as far as that goes. But it was a really nice part of the ship because, as I'll talk about later, the other places that the ship stopped maybe aren't worth getting off the ship for, but Castaway Cay definitely was. It was relaxing. The water was beautiful. We saw a bunch of wildlife, like we saw a barracuda. When I was away from the water, apparently Sean's family saw stingrays. So like, just not like they went far out to see them or they went in the snorkeling area. They saw them just like when they were swimming in the regular beach. So that was really crazy. And the atmosphere was really great of Castaway Cay. The last thing I want to say that was really awesome about the Disney Cruise Line was all the live entertainment, specifically the shows in the theater. So we saw 3 shows. The Flyboys, which was like a musical review, sort of Frank Sinatra mashup with pop music. They were really good. I liked them a lot, especially the family show that they did, because they did like a later one that was adults only, and then they did a family one where they also did like Disney music. So that was really cool. I loved that. The second show we saw was Beauty and the Beast, which was also really great. I mean, when they say Broadway level entertainment, I would say that they're pretty accurate about that. Yeah, so Beauty and the Beast was great. And then we also saw Moana, which is new for the Disney Treasure. And that was, oh my God, I wish I could have seen it twice. It was amazing. And I'm not even a huge fan of the movie Moana. Like, I like some of the songs, but I can't say that I know all the songs. I've never watched that movie multiple times. I think I've seen it once all the way through. The show was amazing. They do have these great puppets that I don't even understand how they did some of the special effects that they did on a cruise ship. I don't know. It was just really good. So highly recommend that. I will say, after seeing Moana, it made me kind of feel like Beauty and the Beast was a little bit outdated, I would say. Just this from the story perspective. I mean, they tried to make Belle a little bit more, I mean, she wants to leave her small town and see the world and things. But with Moana, it's like she's learning to be a voyager and she's learning these skills and the end goal is to be the queen on her island and to do all these things for her people. And I don't know, the ending of Belle is like, she gets to live in a castle with a prince, which, listen, not knocking it. I just feel like as a little girl, I feel like seeing Moana would have been like, yeah, I want to be Moana. So that was cool. Not knocking princesses, love princesses. Just, it was just something that struck me as seeing them back to back. That was interesting to me. But yeah, so live shows in general. There's also lounges on the ship that there were live bands in that you could see pretty much every night. You can go see a live band or a live piano player or singers. So that was really cool. Loved that about it. Okay, so all of that being said, here's what I feel like were kind of a letdown. Even though the theming and the atmosphere of the lounges, like the Haunted Mansion bar and the Skipper Society, even though they were really cool to be inside, the drinks were not, I mean, they weren't great. And I'm not somebody who orders the same drink at every bar. Like, I like to try a specialty cocktail and have an option at that place of something that I like. And I didn't really like things at either of those bars, and it felt kind of rude to just sit, especially in the Haunted Mansion, to go into the Haunted Mansion and sit and not have a drink felt kind of rude. It wasn't like it was a pass-through area and they didn't have trivia in there or any of the activities, so to go in there, it felt like very much so you needed to have a drink. And the drinks weren't that appealing to me. So yeah, I mean, it was cool to be in there. We went in there twice and then felt kind of like there was no other time we really wanted to go back. I felt that way kind of about all of the lounges, just kind of mediocre drinks, and we always were just craving going back to this one place to get a drink before dinner. We basically every day just would get one sort of cocktail before dinner. Hook's Barbery, which technically is a barber shop on the ship, but inside of it, there's a whiskey bourbon tasting bar, and the guy who works there, Abby, makes amazing old fashions. And it felt like kind of a waste to go to another lounge and get a drink because I don't drink a lot. So the one or two drinks I had a day, I wanted to be really good. So that's why I kind of felt like the lounges were a bit of a letdown. It was like a go and see them once, and then it's kind of like I don't really feel the need to go back. Only one lounge had any sort of food too, the Periscope pub. So it's not like you could have a bite to eat and then have a drink. You really were just there basically to drink. And the drinks were not included. So of course, it's a Disney cruise. They don't have drink packages, which is a good thing. But it just meant that it wasn't worth it to me to spend my limited drink allowance. And not just of money, but just of me, I can't have too much alcohol. So it just didn't feel worth it to go to one of those other lounges as much as I thought it would be. That was one of the things I thought. I'd just hang out in the Haunted Mansion bar all the time or the Skipper Society bar, but I didn't end up doing that, to be honest. So that was kind of a letdown. The activities, so there's a lot of trivia, there's a lot of bingo. If you like those two things, oh, and there's a pool. If you like any of those three things, then you'll probably have fun. But I mean, we did trivia a few times, but it kind of felt like, how many times can you do trivia, really? It's just like sitting in a room answering trivia. And they were difficult, but I just felt like if that's your only option, it's nice if that's an addition to other things, but if that's your only option, I don't know. We won one round of trivia, which was fun, but we kind of only did trivia twice and then kind of ended up just doing other things or walking around the ship, or the exact trivia we wanted wasn't at the time that we could go because, you know, you have to be at dinner at a certain time and all of that. So yeah, the trivia was cool, but that's kind of all there were activity-wise for adults. Again, I say this is only for adults. If you have kids, oh my goodness, there's a million things for you to do. So yeah, that's something where if you're somebody who likes to go to Walt Disney World, for example, I mean, maybe you already realize this, but you're stuck on a ship. And that's really all that you can do. And in Disney World, at least the way we do it, we wake up early, we go to the parks to ride some rides, we leave the parks, maybe go to a resort to have food or a drink or something, and then we go back into the parks. Yeah, it's not an active vacation at all. And I know that that's obvious, but I just want to say it in case someone's like, oh, but all my Disney influencer people who love doing all the same stuff at Disney World love it. Well, you might not love it, just saying. That also makes me bring up the food. So something I love about Walt Disney World is it has really good food. Not every single place you go to has amazing food, but we know where to go to get like really high quality food. And I mean, besides Enchanté, and there's also another restaurant called Pala, which we didn't go to, but I'm sure that the food was good quality there. But other than that, your dinner rotation will not be good food. I just need to say it because I feel like no one will tell you that. And if like us, you're going on an 8-day trip and you have one night where you had good food, I mean, that to me is such a waste of a vacation. Part of why I go on vacation is to experience the food in another place. And that also could be the fact that I didn't like the trivia activities. It also could be because we were there for 8 days. It's like you can only do trivia so many times in 8 days. Maybe if we were on a shorter sailing, that wouldn't have stood out to me. But yeah, anyway, the food, not good. So sorry, not good. The best meal that I had one night, which weirdly was at the Marvel restaurant, it was still not as good as a similar dish that I could make at home. And I like to cook, so that might not be true of everyone. And like I said, if you're not somebody that's like a super foodie type person, then you might love the cruise food. But again, I feel like I follow a lot of people online who love Disney, who will go get good food, and like I respect their reviews, and then they'll go on the Disney cruise and act like the food is part of what's great. And I don't trust that. I don't anymore. It was not good. The food was not good. And then last, the pacing. I mean, like I said earlier, with the fact that it's a cruise ship, it's not Walt Disney World where there's 4 parks and all these resorts that you can go to. You can take a Skyliner, you can take a monorail, you can take a bus somewhere else. I mean, on a cruise, nothing starts until like 1 p.m. And Sean and I mean, even on vacation, we wake up at like 6 a.m. So it was kind of like a long period in the morning where we had nothing to do. I mean, we'd get breakfast, but how long does that take? 45 minutes if you're really, you know, stretching it out. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it was slow. And I know that I'm an adult and I should be able to stay up late, but because we're so used to getting up early, that's just like our sleep schedule. We also usually go to bed early, and a lot of the cool things that happen at night are very, very late. And I know this sounds so silly coming from a grown adult, but I'm just not gonna stay up for something that starts at 11:30 p.m., even if I'm on vacation. We went to one show that was really late and I yawned, and the actors like yelled at me and made fun of me, which totally understandable. That's just not how I live my life. So yeah, that's the thing about cruises. You have to know that about yourself. And I'm sure that most people that go on cruises know that. It's just, I thought that it would be different. So if you're like me and you're thinking there's gonna be so much to do all the time, every day, I would just say you might wanna rethink it. And then the thing that I wish that I had realized too, and none of this is to say that I regret going on it. Obviously it was a great trip and we made great memories, but I'm saying if I was thinking about a trip in the future, I'm not doing a cruise. Like, if it's up to me, we're just not gonna do it. That's just not the type of people we are. So that's really the point of this video, is that in the future, I will just know, like, a cruise is not an option, even to see a bunch of places. So the cruise that we went on before the Disney cruise was like a European cruise, and we went to a bunch of cities in France and Spain, and I still feel like I wish it hadn't been in a cruise form. I wish we had just flew to France and driven around the country, because I feel like what no one tells you is that port cities aren't really the highlight of any country or island that you're going to. They are just the place where cruise ships can come in and where all of the sort of vendors and like touristy shops and restaurants are, but they're not like good, they're touristy, so it's kind of like appealing to anyone who might be on a cruise ship. So if you're really wanting to see somewhere, I wouldn't recommend going on a cruise, because you only have so many hours that you can be off of the ship. You have to be on again in the afternoon. So you can't go and see a bunch of things. Obviously you can go on an excursion, but usually you have to pick one and they'll go to one location. You can snorkel, you can go to a beach or whatever, and then you have to come back. So it couldn't be like a leisurely day of finding a good breakfast restaurant and then going somewhere and then finding a good dinner spot. Like, no, you have to be back on the ship. And Sean made this comment that really makes me think, which is that when you're paying a premium for a cruise, like a Disney cruise, which is expensive, you're paying for the amenities of the cruise ship. You're not paying for the stops that they're making. If you were interested in going to, for example, St. Thomas, which is one of the places we went, just fly to St. Thomas, honestly, and stay there for a few days. And then you'll actually experience it, like the good parts of it, versus just one little port city that there's really just a bunch of tourist shops in. And lastly, the cost. It was an 8-day cruise, and we did have a balcony, so it wasn't like the cheapest, most affordable version of a vacation by any means, but we paid, like, when all is said and done, probably close to like $9,000 or $10,000, like including everything we bought on the ship, like all the drinks we had, the extra dinner and everything, versus a Walt Disney World trip where you get to do so many things. And for us, we really usually only stay about 4 nights at Disney World, and we're paying, you know, maybe $3,000, maybe $3,500. And that just blows my mind. I do not think that it's worth almost 3 Walt Disney World vacations. And we stay at deluxe resorts usually. Like, it's not like we're going to a value resort when I talk about that pricing either. So if you're gonna spend that much money and you know what you like you know a Walt Disney World resort vacation is what you like, then I say just stick with that. Don't do a cruise. So anyway, my final thoughts, if you stayed to the end, if you're like me and you're interested in my opinion, my very specific opinion that I realize is specific. Would I do a Disney cruise again? Maybe if I had kids someday, because I think that it makes sense if your kids end up liking the kids play area and you can leave them for a couple hours and go have a nice dinner like with your spouse. I think that does make sense. The character meet and greets were amazing. Like, yes, I think that the kid part of it makes sense. So if I ever had kids, I would consider it. But I still don't think that it would be like my one vacation that I go on, even if I had kids. I just still think that for me, the priority is seeing, exploring new places, and eating really good food, honestly. Like, I feel like that's the worst part of the whole cruise line thing, was like, ugh, the food was not worth it. But like I said, if you love pool time, if you love relaxing, if you love sleeping in, if you have kids that really love Disney characters, then you probably will love this. Just save up, definitely. See if there are any deals going on. I think that if you are less picky about where your room is, and if you book sort of on a ship that they're just trying to fill up, you can get deals. I don't know anything about that. We definitely paid a premium. The Treasure is a new ship, so I think they, priced it accordingly. In the end, it really just, it comes down to knowing the type of vacation that you like to go on, and I know what that is, and now I know. I won't watch my Disney influencers anymore wondering, would I like that as much as it seems like I would? Because I know that I probably wouldn't. And I know that I would rather take a quick Sunday to Thursday Disney World trip because that's my thing. That's my type of Disney adult, I guess. Anyway, let me know. Are you a Disney adult that's been on a Disney cruise and have felt the way I have? Because I feel like I'm the only one. And I would love to know if there's anyone else out there that was disappointed. Let me know what your experience was. Or are you going on a Disney cruise soon? And did you find this helpful? And did it kind of confirm what you already knew, which is that you'll probably love it because a cruise is the type of vacation you love? Yeah, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'm not going to do all Disney content on here. I feel like I do have a few Disney related things, but it just so happened that I was doing this cruise, so I thought I'd film it. But if you're interested in other things I post about, take a look at my other videos, and yeah, have a great day. Bye.